2025 is here, and Micheal Saylor just dropped a Bitcoin prediction that will leave you speechless. Could this be the year Bitcoin redefines wealth as we know it? Or are we on the verge of a crypto revolution like no other? If you thought 2021 was wild, wait until you hear what's next. Stick around, because what Saylor's predicting could change everything about how you see the future of money. Let's get into it. But before we dive in, do me a quick favor. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with your friends. And don't forget to drop a comment below. Where do you think Bitcoin is headed in 2025? Let's dive in.
Bitcoin's digital capital, it's, in 100,000 years, we finally came up with perfect money. Every economist that ever wrote on the topic for, thousands of years, they never had it. Satoshi created it, brought it to life, January 3rd, 2009. It took us 15 years to figure out whether it was going to work. Now it looks like it's working. You will work 100,000 hours in your life as a student and as a laborer to make money. Given the fact that you're looking at 50 years of hard labor as a student and as a laborer, and given 2,000 hours a year and 100,000 hours, I would say a rational thing to do is invest 100 hours to figure out how to keep your money. Right? You're going to invest 100,000 hours in making it, spend 100 hours figure out how to keep it. If you don't understand what Bitcoin is, if you don't understand why it's better than seashells or buying NASDAQ stocks, or why it's better than investing in bonds or currencies or real estate or random artwork, if you don't get it, if you're afraid of it, don't put your money in it, because I say you should. Put 100 hours into it, You put 100,000 hours in, trying to actually make money, and you'll probably die poor or die without any if you don't ever figure out money, because the system is constructed to take all your money away from you unless you get really smart about economics. So what I ask for people is, put the time in, spend 100 hours. I mean, you probably spent that much trying to figure out how to pitch a baseball or drive an automobile, right? I mean, nothing done or nothing meaningful is achieved in life without a 4-year commitment, a 1-year commitment, a 100-hour commitment. And so I'm not telling you how to live the rest of your life. I'm just saying that the part of your life which needs money, that's worth 100 hours. So look at it. You can go to hope.com. You can go on Twitter. You can just go start Googling stuff. You can go on YouTube, and then come to your own decision, and maybe you'll come up with a better idea. But Bitcoin is the idea that $2 trillion worth of smart money capital has decided upon after a vigorous, bitter debate for 15 years. 15 years of a lot of very smart people going back and forth through the block size wars, going through the crazy years of the last 4 years. A lot of people, are just like you. I mean, what's the human condition? We want money. We want to keep the money. We don't want someone to take the money away from us. Bitcoin is just a crypto network for people that would like to keep their money, right? Preserve their capital. And now I think the outlook that's most reasonable is Bitcoin surges up. I mean, we saw it went from 68,000 through 100,000. Bitcoin's not growing 20 to 40% a year. It's growing like plus 20, 40 to 60% or more. Bitcoin surges. And then all the other digital assets, they have a new lease on life. At least there's an expectation of a regulatory framework coming. I can't tell you exactly, what happens next, because I haven't seen the framework, right? And that has to be determined in dialogue between the White House and the cabinet and the House and the Senate and the industry. But I'm optimistic, right? And now I would say my forecast for Bitcoin isn't that different. It's going to grow 29% ARR over 21 years to be a $280 trillion asset class and 13 million a coin. That's not that different. Maybe a little bit faster up front. Maybe I'm leaning more toward the base case to the bull case than I was leaning from the base case toward the bear case. So yeah, I'm a bit more optimistic. But I think the big major sea change is you can see $500 trillion of conventional assets getting tokenized to become digital assets. I think the issue is, why wouldn't half of the equity in the world become digital equity? Like, why wouldn't you expect to see Apple stock, Google, Amazon stock trading on your iPhone and your Android phone as tokenized security? And I would think that the path is open for stablecoin, that to go from $150 billion to $1 trillion to $10 trillion. I mean, I at this point, you define a digital currency, you peg it to dollar equivalents. Yeah, there ought to be a regulatory environment where a company or a bank, especially in the U.S., can issue a U.S. dollar-backed stablecoin. I think there's $10 trillion of demand for that. I think that we're going to go from $100 billion to a $10 trillion industry in stablecoins. We're just waiting for the framework for the digital currency. And as you know, I don't think of Bitcoin as digital currency. I think Bitcoin is digital capital. Currency is the short-term medium of exchange pegged to the fiat currency. Capital is the long-term store of value competing with real estate and gold and high-quality equity and your art, that you're going to give to your grandchildren. I think those two are clear. I think the exciting thing, right, is defining a digital token, right? How about a token in cyberspace that has utility in cyberspace? It's not a security. It doesn't have a claim on real property or on cash flows, but rather it's Tom Brady gives a digital token, and it gives super fans rights to chat with Tom Brady online, right? 10 million people want to comment on Tom Brady's post, but the top 100 super fans, they get elevated to the top. They get into the chat. They get into the 100-person Zoom meeting. They get something, whatever it might be, some prioritization. I don't know why there wouldn't be a million of those different types of tokens issued, right? I mean, the great travesty of the traditional world is 0.06% of the businesses in the U.S. can tap the capital markets. It shouldn't cost $40 million up front and $10 million a year to go public. If you're Joe Rogan or Lex Friedman or Katy Perry or Tom Brady or a $27 million restaurant chain or $1 million a year chain of yoga salons or something, or an influencer or your podcast, why can't you guys all tap the capital markets? And if I tell you it's going to cost you $40 million up front, you're not doing it. But if I said, the upfront fees will be no more than 1%, 100 basis points, and then on a continuing basis is 10 basis points of the amount of money you raise or the amount of money that you have in the capital market, you might think, I can afford to have a 10% cost in order to comply with the laws. And there's 400 million businesses. There's only 4,000 publicly traded companies in the US. If you read Murray Rothbard in the history of money and banking in the United States, he gets to the point where he talks about the creation of the SEC 33 Act. And he says, yeah, it was a power grab by Washington, D.C. in conjunction with the Rockefeller interest to cut out the J.P. Morgan interest in order to create a cartel to limit access to the capital markets to just a set of very large companies that were wired in D.C. We think that's new. That's what he wrote 30 years ago before crypto even came into being. And that's what people thought in the early 30s. And so the point of this really is everybody's been beaten to submission to think that being a public company or raising capital in the public markets isn't for them. It's like, these are not the droids you're looking for. This is not for you, right? You've got the Stockholm syndrome. You're too small. You don't deserve it. You're just a musician. You're just an artist. You're just a podcaster. You're just a restaurant. You're just a single one city real estate developer. This is not for you. This is only megacorps with billions of dollars of assets can go public. Well, I think what the crypto community showed is you can spin up a token and for $40 in 4 hours. And if you can do something 1,000,000 times faster, 1,000,000 times cheaper, 1,000,000 times better, then don't you think if we want the civilization to move forward, We ought to establish an ethical framework. What I would say the government's role is to create an ethical framework. I mean, clear, legitimate rights and responsibilities and a taxonomy. Here's your 6 things you can do. You know, if you want to sell a token backed by a bar of gold, well, then you damn well better keep a bar of gold for each token. You got to be audited, you know, once a quarter by an auditor, and you got to publish the audit results to sell tokens backed by gold, right? I mean, something very straightforward. Tell people how to do it. Tell people what the ethical, you know, definition of the thing is. I don't think the government should tell you technically how to do it. And I don't think they should dictate economically, you know, should it be a bar of gold, or it should be a token of a gold coin, or it should be a token of a Spanish doubloon coin. I don't think the government should meddle in how you do it economically. I think, though, for this industry to thrive, the government's got to give you the minimal of rules and then get out of the way. And what happens next is, I think, millions and millions of digital assets will be created. I think that'll bring the exchanges to life. That'll create a renaissance in the wallets. That'll create a renaissance in all the applications. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure lots of people will do stupid things, and they'll crash and burn. 99% of the companies that start fail, and 99% of the, whatever, public companies have a hard time competing against the Magnificent Seven. Just like 99% of businesses eventually get shut down. But you know what? What percentage of the people die over 100 years? Like 99%? It's like, we shouldn't stop people from living just because over 100-year time frame, there's a high mortality rate for whatever. So I would say what's really interesting here is we jolted from a very regressive, a very depressing timeline to a very progressive, very inspirational, pro-technology, pro-prosperity timeline. And it all happened in 2024 as we were talking.
And that's a wrap for today's video. Bitcoin is charging full steam ahead, eyeing record-breaking highs. After a dramatic red wave on November 5th, the crypto landscape is transforming faster than ever, with key Bitcoin and crypto policies poised to become part of a groundbreaking constitutional framework. Thanks to an incoming pro-crypto administration, the momentum is undeniable. Institutional giants and individual investors are stacking sats like never before, fueling a tidal wave of adoption. The future? It's not just bright. It's blazing for Bitcoin and the entire crypto ecosystem. Now it's your turn. What's your take on this thrilling journey? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button for all the latest updates, smash that like button to support the channel, and share this video with your fellow crypto enthusiasts. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.